FBC Firebreak was back in the news recently with the studio announcing they've reached the 1 million players mark. Now, a lot of people on Twitter and YouTube were saying this was the studio lying for damage control and trying to paint things better than they were, with the main reason for doubts being the piss poor results on the Steam charts. If we look at the Steam charts right now, we can see the 24-hour player peak on Steam was just 139 players. While that's bad, I actually think the 1 million players figure is actually fine and believable. Let's break down the potential player bases and units across the platforms. So on Steam, there's a bit under 1,500 reviews. If we apply the 20 to 60 units sold per review, and hell, let's be generous and go with the higher range of 50, we can do 1,500 reviews times 50 units sold per review to get 75,000 units sold, or roughly 7.5% of the 1 million players. Let's just assume every Steam unit counts, even if they were later refunded or never launched in the first place. Now let's break down Microsoft and Sony. Let's start with Game Pass. Game Pass has over 35 million players subscribed to it, and FBC Firebreak is on it. Sony's PS Plus also has Firebreak, and they have around 47.5 million players. Between the two services, there's over 82 million players. Having around 900,000 from that pool trying out Firebreak, I think is perfectly reasonable to believe. But that's just players, not units sold. Let's analyze this a bit more. In the last video I made on FBC Firebreak, I mentioned the studio needed to sell 1 million units to just break even on the cost of development so far. Generally, we can assume something around 20% of players on subscription services will buy the game, but let's be generous again and just assume a nice 250,000 units sold instead of the under 200,000 units if we did the right calculations. And if we add the 75,000 units from Steam earlier, we have around 325,000 units sold, or about 1/3 of the units needed to sell to break even. Now, let's do our last batch of calculations. A lot of AAA games sell something like 70 to 80% of their lifetime sales within their 2 opening weeks. Let's assume since Firebreak is a AA game and online multiplayer focused, it'll have a longer sales life, and let's assume that the 325,000 units are 50% of the lifetime sales instead of the 70 to 80%, in which case we can guess lifetime sales will be around 650,000, which would result in what would be roughly a $10 million USD hit to Remedy, which is pretty bad, but not a studio ending hit to Remedy. Based on all that, I'm going to assume the player numbers are going to continue trending downwards with sales slowing down significantly. The game will probably never sell enough units to break even, and more than likely, Remedy will cancel some of their post-launch content development with how badly things have gone so far. That'll probably be the final nail in the coffin when it happens, since the game already lacks content, with most players citing 3 maps isn't enough stuff to do with. What's everyone else's opinions and thoughts? How long do you think the game is going to be able to stay up for? Let me know in the comments down below.